If you're having a thought about the fact that you don't like the friends that you're with right now, you've become a different person because the person that made those same friends would not have thought, I don't like these people. The fact that you're even considering leaving this friend group means that you're not the same person anymore, my love. But I realized that it's either I try to carry them with me and break my own back as a result of it. And I don't even get that far because if you've got weight on you, imagine how long it's going to take for you to climb up a mountain that's already so hard to climb. Self-development is not easy. Developing yourself, always staying aware of your thoughts, always being careful and very intentional about every single aspect of your life. That already in and of itself is not an easy journey. So imagine trying to carry somebody on your back on top of everything else. Doesn't work. Hello, my loves. Welcome back to the RP channel today. If you are returning, if you are back, I am so happy to have you here. Today, I wanted to talk about something. I just had the cup in my hand for the aesthetic because it's winter time. I don't know if you can see my stocking up there. Um, Honestly, I didn't do any other Christmas decorations. All I have is my stocking and my tree. But that is more than enough to get into the holiday spirit. I think this year I really got in tune with the seasons changing because it represented a lot of change in my own life. Watching and observing nature really allowed me to be patient when there was change occurring in my life because nature does its thing regardless of what anybody says or tries to do, regardless if anybody doesn't like it or whether they love it. It still has to change. It still has to go through the motions just as humans do. So it's inspired me in a lot of ways. And I think that's why I love my 4 seasons. I love living where I live because I get to experience that change. And yeah, it inspires me to respect the course of change on my own journey as well. Anyways, today I want to talk about something that perhaps I feel like a lot of people struggle with, and I've seen a lot of people struggle with it, and I've struggled with it myself, which is losing people on your journey of healing, specifically losing friends, maybe even losing relationships, and outgrowing people that maybe don't suit where you are in your life right now. So let's get into today's video. When I first started my healing journey, I was 14. So I was in high school. And I remember thinking that I was crazy. I was like, I cannot tell anybody about the books I'm reading, about the type of mindset that I want to get into, because everybody's just going to think I'm crazy. And the thing is, I came from a very secluded, not necessarily secluded. I went to a public school, but everybody had the same sort of mindset because I had the same people from my elementary school all the way up into my middle school to my high school. Like I saw the same familiar faces, but I always found that people were so small-minded, and I think it was partly my fault too that I wasn't experimental enough with trying to get to know people because I was very antisocial, which I deeply, deeply regret. If you're a teenager or if you're in middle school right now, try your absolute best, regardless of your social anxiety, to go and talk to different people because it's going to help you so much more in the future. You don't understand how valuable of a skill that is, and so many people lack the skill of communication nowadays, or just simply being able to hold a conversation, simply being able to hold eye contact with a stranger because they feel like it's too awkward. And because I was always very socially awkward as in my adolescence, it grew into my adulthood and I had to put a stop to it. And it was so much harder to learn that skill later on. So learn it right now, put yourself out there, talk to new people, regardless of if it's scary. And trust me, the more that you do it, the less scary it's going to become because you realize that everybody else is exactly the same as you. They're thinking about themselves the same way that you're thinking about you. It was not a skill that I had really honed in on in that time because obviously I was focusing on so many things. And it's weird because you focus on such weird things during your adolescence, things that don't even matter. And so obviously I wasn't in the mindset of trying to talk to people, but I did feel like everybody was kind of sort of in the same mindset. They always thought the same. They didn't mind being the people that were kind of just like carbon copies of each other. And they didn't really want to do anything different. It was like the same thing I always heard, which is like, I want to go to university. I want to do this. Rarely did I ever hear somebody trying to do something out of the box. But again, I didn't meet that many people that were trying to do things out of the box. But here's the funny thing that I realized later down on my journey is that I was only meeting what I was reflecting. In the beginning of my journey was like, oh my God, I need to get out of this because this person's like this and that person's like this and I'm not like them at all. And the funny thing with that, and the irony in that is you are actually exactly like the people that you're complaining about most of the time. Because if you look at your environment, you chose that. You created it. You built it from the ground up. Nobody else did that for you. Nobody else placed them there magically. God didn't put them there, whatever you think it is. You chose it because of the way that you act and what you put out there. So if you want a different outcome, you need to be different yourself because you cannot physically, and if we're talking in terms of quantum reality, you cannot meet anything different other than what you are. You will always attract what you are. And that is a fact. It doesn't change regardless of what you think or what you try to believe. And so I stopped being in the mindset of thinking that everybody else was a problem. And I finally tried to take some accountability. Okay. I did get into self development very early, and I just felt very alone during that journey because I just felt, again, like it's such a weird thing to go through in your adolescence, like spiritual awakenings, all that stuff. It's like people think you're like, there's something wrong with you. And I did think there was something wrong with me for the longest time, but I realized like I just had an old soul and my soul was just itching to be somewhere else. So I took myself out of that environment. I actually switched home high school. So I went to another high school, and this was actually the high school that my sister was going to. And she always talked about the fact that it was so much fun and everybody was so creative, and there was dance teams and there was art clubs and all this other stuff happening. And I was like, okay, this sounds like so much more my crowd. So I ended up going, and I knew nobody. I went to this school knowing that I knew no friends, and I let go of friends that I had been friends with for the longest time since I was a child because I knew that they were in a mindset that I didn't want to be in. And when I looked around me, I didn't feel like I was the most special or I was like going to do something amazing in my future because everybody around me looked like they weren't really going to do much with their lives. And put this behind my back because, oh my God, that feels so much better. Because I intuitively knew that my place was elsewhere, it wasn't as scary to just switch to another high school knowing that I didn't know anybody else. I had a few friends from middle school that had gone to that high school, so that was the only thing I really had. And then past that point, I was like, I'm just going to wing it because I honestly feel like my intuition is going to guide me through it. And it did. And it ended up being the best decision I ever made. And that's when I realized I can do scary things and take a leap of faith, and it won't be, and I can change friends all the time. I don't have to stick to the same friends, like the same group of friends if I don't want to. And the amount of friend groups I have went through since then is absolutely insane. So many different types of people with so many different types of mindset because they were all reflecting the state of mind that I was in at that given time. So after that, I realized that I really wanted to surround myself with like-minded people and people that were interested in the same thing. And the journey to get there was so crazy. And I remember there were so many painful moments. There's so many letting go of friends that truly did not serve me or the highest version of me. It served me, the me that was in that present reality at that time that was friends with them, but it didn't serve me and who I knew I wanted to become. A lot of people, and this is the mistake that I see a lot of people making, but when they try to achieve their goals, they do it as if there's like some sort of future outcome for it. Like they're like, this is a destination that I need to arrive at. I'm going to become this way when I make these types of friends. You have to already believe or convince yourself or do anything, even if it's crazy, that's going to make you believe that you have what you want in the future, but you have it right now. Like whatever you want in the future, try to convince yourself that you have it right now and then you're going to get it like this. And that's been proven true in so many things in my life, even with my channel. I had to pretend like I was ready before I was actually ready to do something. And that's the hack of manifestation. And that's all manifestation is. I talk about it all the time on my channel. But if you're not already doing that, do it now. There's a guide that's coming out. I'm so excited. I've been working on it for the last couple of months. I tried to make it as clean and aesthetically pleasing and beautiful as possible, obviously for my audience, and also make it as helpful as possible because I truly want it to be the best guide that it can be. And it's going to be coming out very soon, essentially taking you through 21 days of feminine energy. And one of the things that I tried to put on there as well was trying to embody your future self as if you were already that person now, and doing it in certain steps that's going to allow you to feel like you've already made it. Because embodiment is the way that you truly get to where you want to be. You cannot do it in any other way. Before something came into fruition, before something came to life, somebody had to picture it and imagine it first. So in a way, They made it real in their minds first before it actually manifested in this physical reality. This physical reality is not what you think it is. It works in such mysterious ways. So many things that you don't know about the world. And there's so many ways to change things. And if you're worried about changing friends, then you've only seen like a glimpse of what life could be. And I used to be that too. As like I was like, oh my God, this is the biggest change that's ever happened to me. And then I realized I was so wrong because there was so many changes that had to happen after. I think that a lot of people inquire about to me is specifically friendships on self-development journeys is like when you're evolving yourself, how the hell are you going to be able to change the person when you've got friends that you love so dearly, but just do not understand? How do you live with that? And the answer is, I don't know. I don't know how I did it. I think the motivation to want to be better was so much stronger than me wanting to be friends, me wanting to stay friends with people. And I don't know if that sounds selfish. It might to somebody else, but I knew the things I wanted was so much grander. I knew the goals and the future reality I had for myself was just so big that I couldn't be around anybody that didn't understand that. I couldn't date people who didn't understand that, which my last relationship, it was completely out of alignment, which I talked about. I talk about my personal experiences on my podcast a lot. So if you guys want to stream that, it's the RP channel, or sorry, the RP podcast on Spotify. So you're welcome to stream that. And I talk about my personal experiences a lot on my podcast because it's a more tight-knit community. So if you're interested, go ahead and check that out. But yeah, specifically with my last relationship, it was very much out of alignment and it was very hard for me to be able to see that. And I always saw it, but because the attachment was there to the person, because it was almost like my best friend, I didn't want to let that go. And I think that's where we make a mistake as human beings, especially when you're trying to develop yourself. You cannot develop yourself with the same people around you because those people are not actually friends with you. Okay? Listen to me when I say this. They're friends with the version of you that is underneath that skin. Because when you think about it, if you're having a thought about the fact that you don't like the friends that you're with right now, you've become a different person. Because the person that made those same friends would not have thought, I don't like these people. Do you understand what I'm saying? The fact that you're even considering leaving this friend group means that you're not the same person anymore, my love. That means it's time to move on. That means it's time to change your environment and be around people who actually align with you. And sometimes it's so hurtful. I've lost so many sisters, people who I literally were like family to me, and it broke my heart to leave them behind. But I realized that it's either I try to carry them with me and break my own back as a result of it. And I don't even get that far because if you've got weight on you, imagine how long it's going to take for you to climb up a mountain that's already so hard to climb. Self-development is not easy. Developing yourself, always staying aware of your thoughts, always being careful and very intentional about every single aspect of your life. That already in and of itself is not an easy journey. So imagine trying to carry somebody on your back on top of everything else. Doesn't work. I tried it before. Doesn't work. Don't even try it. Okay. And I wish you luck if you're trying to do that right now, because you're going to see how tired and depleted you become as a result of that. The one thing I realized about meeting those high value friends, I don't want to call it high value because I just feel like that's kind of a weird term to use, but good people in your life that are going to support you, that are on their grind and their hustle too. So you want to be around those people because you want to be inspired by them. What I realized is that it's always going to change. In my old life, I realized that there was always a need to need someone 24/7. And that's what a best friend is, right? And it's amazing to have best friends, don't get me wrong. But then I realized, like, when you're on a self-development journey and you meet amazing people, all of them become your best friends. But also there's not a need for like a friend to do everything with. Fine to want the input of other people, but I just feel like once you learn to trust your intuition, you're not going to need that anymore. And you're not going to need somebody just like by your side 24/7. Space is the most beautiful thing in these high value friendships, or like being around people that are very good and they're on their hustle, is because they're so inspired to do what they do and they put so much time and effort into it that there's no time to be around each other 24/7. And it's vice versa. Like, it works the same way because I'm busy creating my own things, that I can't be around them 24/7 either. And what I realized is with those other friends, there was always this constant need to try and be available for people and clear up schedules for people because they wanted to do A, B, and C together and whatever it is together. And it just was totally not my vibe. And this is another thing I will say, because I am still very young. When I was about 18 or 19, I worked as a waitress, and the nature of the job was like it was very much nightlife, party life. Like you already know how it goes. If you've worked any one of those jobs, you know that it's like very depleting because you end work at like 4 in the morning. And that was just so not my regular routine. Like it didn't go with my body whatsoever, and the environment and the women and the men and anybody that I was surrounded with just did not fit my vibe at all. A lot of the girls that I was meeting during that time point in my career or my job, it's not a career, but it was my job that I was working at the time. But a lot of the women that I was meeting at that point in my life really loved to party, like really loved to be out and about. And that's how they made their money. That's how they did what they needed to do. And it really was so far off from who I wanted to be that I felt like it completely wrecked me. I looked horrible. I was in the worst relationship of my life. And my friends also reflected my state of mind at the time too. And like me wanting to do better for myself was not beneficial for those friends because that meant that I wasn't out there to party. That means that I wasn't out there to drink with them or do something with them. Do you know what I mean? Like the nature of those activities was very low vibrational to me as an individual. And the way that I was doing those things too just wasn't, you know, and I always very openly talk about my past with vices. I feel like a lot of people aren't really as honest as they should be because it's a very dangerous thing and like it affects people very negatively. And the thing is, if you have balance, then you're perfectly fine. But if you go out of control with it, then you can end up in a very bad state in life. And so that's what happened to me as well. I'm very young, so I feel like I lived that part of my life. And now that I'm a little older, I don't have any interest for it anymore. And I don't feel bad about it. Oh, it feels so good to not feel bad about it. I wake up living every single day as a woman I want to be, and I intentionally create her every single day, and I do not stop. And I'm so relentless with it too, and I love that. And I love that I don't want to do those things and go out and just, whatever it is. And I'm very intentional about the people who I even just like follow on Instagram or like whatever I consume and like the movies I watch and music I listen to. I just become very intentional with it, and I love it so much. And when I ever sense even the smallest thing out of alignment, I do not engage in it. And I love living that way. And that started with having to lose so many people on this journey. So if you're going through that right now, I just want to say that it's gonna feel very painful and it's gonna feel like you're being very selfish, but you're not. And if anything, you're being more selfless because you know how much love that you send to those people? Like all the friends that I left behind in my life, I send so much love to them. I've never held any sort of resentment or thought of them in an ill way at all. Um, or talked about them in an ill-mannered way because I realized that at this point in my journey, I feel so grown that I'm like, there's no need for that. I just wanna I just wanna be my classy, live my life, take care of myself, and obviously just protect my energy, and do all that I need to do to enhance my life in any possible way so that I can help enhance other people's lives. Because I do feel like that's gonna put more purpose into the world in general, and it's gonna literally save the world. You saving yourself is gonna be saving the world, trust me, but you cannot save the world if you don't save yourself first. And that starts with the people that you surround yourself with, because you need to make sure that everything is in alignment and intentionally create anything that you want in your life. You are powerful enough to do it. Do not let anybody convince you that you're not. And just keep your head in the game. That is the most important thing that I did these past few years as I was doing my healings. I kept my head in the game. And that's why I was as painful as it was to let go of certain people, I was always just so laser focused on getting what I wanted out of my life and creating my life so intentionally that it didn't matter to me at that point who I lost. And that's the reality. And I really pray that you arrive there too, because you're gonna see what it does for you when you start to change your environment. That is all for today's video. I love you so much, and I will see you guys in the next one.